There's 10 things if you've just bought a house or you're refinancing your house that you do not want to do in between that time frame. So you've bought yourself a new house or you're refinancing. Maybe you have some debt you're rolling in to a new mortgage. There will be a closing date on that new mortgage. So this is the time in between when you've secured that loan, mortgage, line of credit, whatever you're doing, or you just purchased a new home. So what you don't want to do is go on a spending spree. So if you think about it, there's all those deals with Leon's saying, hey, zero down, pay, deposit, and then you don't pay for 2 years. Well, that affects your credit rating. That affects your overall gross debt service, because in a year to 2 years, you're going to have to start paying that back. And if it was purchases of thousands of dollars, you can only imagine what your lender is going to think about that. You could be in breach of contract. So basically, it alters your total debt service, that they've calculated your interest payments and approved you that mortgage. The other thing you don't want to do is don't quit or change your job. So lenders have established your interest rate. They've pre-approved you on the fact that you are working at this position. If you change that position or you quit jobs and start a new job, you're going to find that you're back at zero, because you have to have at least 3 to 6 months now to prove to a lender that you have that form of income. So it's employment history. If you start a new job or even change jobs within the company, you're back at zero. You have not established any of that. So don't quit your job. The other thing too is don't book pre-renovation projects for your new home. Or if you're rolling debt into a new mortgage, don't then go and say, okay, now I'm great. I'm going to spend a couple $1,000s. I'm going to spend $100,000 and put a new, a new addition to my house because my family's growing. Don't do that. Your mortgage has not closed, so therefore you do not own that home. 2, they're going to expect a deposit. So your lender, again, is going to be looking at that missing money and say, where did it go? Oh, you secured a trade for a home you don't own yet, and in addition to that, now you spend a couple $1,000s here or whatever for the deposit. So again, they're going to question why you would do that. So then you become a little bit more of a risk. So they don't want to see that. Don't go and open new credit or apply for new credit or increase the credit that you have. Because again, that comes back to the calculation that the mortgage company or the broker has developed with the lender has actually secured you that mortgage or line of credit based on what you have in front of you, what you've offered, meaning, if you have debt, then that's the only debt you have. If you apply for more credit, that's more debt. So now you don't qualify. You could actually go from a A lender to a B lender, which usually indicates a much, much higher interest rate, higher than even today's standards. So the other thing you don't want to do is close any bank accounts. So don't close a bank account, because then that worries the lender that you're going to be doing something with the money, or it just doesn't sit well with them. They want to see all your bank accounts, and they will probably ask you again prior to the closing date to show your bank accounts again. So that's kind of what they do. So the other thing too is that you don't want to skimp out on not having a home inspection. A home inspection, first of all, most lenders will want a home inspection. They'll want to know that the home that they're loaning you money for is viable, that it doesn't have any latent defects, meaning it's a solid home to live in and there are not issues like major leakages or mold, mildew, your roof structure's intact, that, you have a fairly decent furnace to go into the winter with, things like that. They want to know that that is above board. So it's worth the $300 to $700 to go to a home inspector and say, okay, these are the things that is wrong with my home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate and budget for these things to be fixed first. But if the home has latent defects, then the lender probably won't want to lend you money. So that's a sort of an eye-opener for you to make sure that you do use a home inspector. And don't forget to pay your bills. So what a lender wants to see is consistency. And the time between purchasing or refinancing and closing is very important for you to maintain consistency financially. So no large purchases, as we said, but the other thing too is that you really don't want to miss on your bill payments, because that shows up in your credit history. And again, the lender's going to pull that history or look at you again, probably the week before or the week of closing. So you don't want to show any anomalies that indicate that you're not a good bill payer because you've forgotten. And let's face it, house purchasing or refinancing is very overwhelming and very stressful. So you don't want to do that. So make sure you've got your reminders, put them on your phone or your calendar to make sure that you pay those bills on time. The other thing too is, so number 9 would be to set up your new utility payments. A lot of those utility companies over the year, because of fraudulent activity by people running off and not paying their bills, you have to establish a history with them. And if you don't have that history, if you cannot get a reference from your current utility provider to send to your new utility provider, then you're establishing history from day one. So what they'll do is they'll probably ask for a down payment. These actual down payments can be a couple $100s. Now they'll keep them on your account for 6 months to a year, and then you can utilize them towards your bill payments after that time frame. But they don't do it automatically. You have to call in and ask them for that. So let's hope you can do it without a huge cost. Sometimes utilities are $200 to $300, which again, it goes towards closing costs. And the best piece of advice that I can give you, number 10, is don't get frustrated. So closing days come up, you're already packing, you're already stressed, you're working, you have family or whatever you're doing. You're trying to juggle so much and it's so overwhelming and frustrating. But at the same time, you will have to know that there's no exact science in a closing time. There's no, oh, I got up on closing day and now I'm going to close at noon. Well, it doesn't happen like that. So that's actually probably one of the most highly asked questions from me as a realtor is, when will the house close? Well, guess what, guys? It depends on how many transactions are happening in that day. So for instance, if you're buying a house and the person buying your home has to have financing, I can already say to you that usually happens after noontime, not morning. So already you have to think it takes a couple hours per transaction to close. So if there's more than 2 transactions in a day, your house might not close. So what I suggest for that is something I suggest to all my clients. Get bridge financing. If you get bridge financing, you'll close on that day no matter what. And then bridge financing is bridging the gap between your existing home and your new home. So say September, Labor Day, not that you would close on a Labor Day, but say Labor Day, you close a house September 1st, and then you are closing your existing home September 5th. That gives you those 5 days to move things over, to, take time. And then if the closing doesn't happen, you're not homeless. So, and that's what happens to people. They become homeless, and their trucks that they have all their stuff on, all their worldly belongings and their animals, have no home to go to. So then you'll pay double for a moving truck to go back and store your stuff overnight. Now they're going to lose another job. So they're going to charge you. They're going to charge you double and probably pain time. So is it cheaper to do bridge finance? And oh, heck yeah. Because usually it's just $100 for a couple days, and that gives you peace of mind. The other thing too is, yeah, we just don't know when closing date's going to happen. So like I said, if there's many transactions, and then the other thing is too, the lender is going, and the lawyer is probably going to ask you to do extra things or send extra things. We want another copy of your bank account. We want to see that you've paid this bill off. Things like that. You have to get these all ready for your lawyer, or the mortgage broker may be asking you for this themselves. So don't be surprised if they're really asking you last minute and you're already stressed. So you just need to keep it in mind. They're gonna ask me, and then therefore you won't be surprised and super upset when everything is said and done. So Vanessa Wilson, sales representative for Cole Banker Momentum Realty and owner of Niagara Living Real Estate Inc. Please share my videos. Every Tuesday I put them out. If you like what I say, please follow me and share. That's how we work. Thanks. Have a great day.